And you might not smoke, you might not drink, you might not curse, you might not chew, you might not fornicate, you might not commit adultery, but that does not mean that you are clean in your spirit. In fact, quite honestly, some of the most moral people I have ever met were often people who in other areas of their life had tendencies to be spiritually filthy. They were morally pure, but spiritually filthy. They were not tempted in the flesh, but they were tempted with mental disorders. They didn't fornicate, but they talked about everybody who did. They didn't... full of hate and anger and unforgiveness and jealousy and pride. And see, these things can live well in a church environment because you can't see them. You can't smell them. You can't touch them. You can't taste them. So you can have on a long dress and you can have on a prayer cap and you can walk around looking real holy and be just as hateful, never smoked, never drank, never cursed, never fornicated, and be just as hateful and envious and petty and jealous as anything in the world. Because this is just, I say, not the Lord, but I've noticed that people generally are more tempted this way or that way. Either they're more tempted with fleshly sins and moral issues, and that's a great place of struggle. I met some of the nicest, good, loving, kind people, but they were weak in their morality, and they were weak, and they did all kinds of stuff. I've known prostitutes that would feed you and protect you and hide you and take care of you and turn tricks all at the same time. I know you can't nod because you can't act like you know nobody, and then those of you that are in here, you don't want to blow your cover, so just look right ahead and let me go up against the wall. It's okay, I don't mind. I'm big enough, I'm old enough, I'll go by myself. I've known drug dealers that you could trust and you could take them in. They do all kind of stuff and feed you and help you, watch the kid, not let anybody take your car, wouldn't touch your woman, wouldn't do this or that, and drug dealers. But still wrestling in this realm, but are good-hearted people. And I've seen people who wouldn't go and never been in a club, never took a drink, never smoked, never chewed, never gambled, never did anything that wouldn't help you. If you were on fire, they wouldn't spit on you to put out the fire. In fact, religious people, not relational, religious people are some of the meanest people I have ever met in my life. They will hunt you down and shoot you like a dog and dare you to breathe. I preached in prisons all over the country and was never scared in the prison. You get in a room full of preachers, I get so nervous, I get to praying about I just don't know. I'm scared to say anything. I don't want to nod. I don't want to laugh at nothing because they're going to repeat it and say so. I felt better in cell block B. Religious people can be dangerous. Understand that religion does not constitute relationship. You can have religion and not have relationship with God. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Now see, because we are three-dimensional, everything, we have to understand that about ourselves, and we have to understand that whatever you feed will grow, it will develop. If you're feeding all of this fleshly, carnal, sensual stuff, and again, I'm not just talking about morals, because some of you have got a good grip on that, some of you don't, but some of you got a good grip on that, but you are bombarded, your senses, every day with negative information. I guess you heard about so-and-so. I guess you heard about this. You know, they get getting ready to take the car. You know, so-and-so pregnant. You know, this is about to happen. They're downsizing on the job. So-and-so's after your position. You just collecting all kinds of information and storing all of that stuff in your mind and then wonder why you have no peace. How could you have peace? You spend way more time with these portals open, feeding your mind that kind of stuff than you do in prayer and praise and worship in the presence of God, feeding your mind spiritual stuff. So for to be carnally minded is death. The reason you're not happy is not your age, is not your looks, is not your wife, is not your husband. The reason you are not happy is not because you're single, it's not because you don't have enough money. The reason you are not happy is that your mind is filled with all that clutter all the time. You are mentally and emotionally constipated, locked up down inside of yourself with no vent, no one to talk to, nobody to open up to, no place to release it, and it's building up in you. And that's why your joy is not full and you have no peace. You need to dump all of that stuff out on Jesus and say, Lord, that's your business. Whatever you do with it is fine with me. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. The challenge is to be built up, is to build up that spirit part of you. And I'm afraid that we don't do that much. We don't do that much. Because when it comes to building yourself up in the spirit, those spiritual muscles are often very underdeveloped. The TV is exercising your sensual muscles. The radio is exercising your sensual muscles. What you read is exercising your sensual muscles. What people are saying to you is exercising your sensual muscles. But when it comes to your spiritual muscles, you could be a weakling. And I'm going to tell you how to know you're a weakling. When you're in the worship service, you kind of go along with it, but you really don't get into it. It's not that you disagree with what they're saying, but you don't really connect with it either. It's not that you're against Christ, but you don't seem to get out of it what other people seem to get out of it. Though you like the idea of it, you get bored with it quickly. It's because your spiritual muscles are underdeveloped. I'll give you another sign. I call you to the altar to pray. You pray about 30 seconds. It's not even a minute. And you become aware of, oh, my knees are hurting. Oh, you know, I got to change positions. See, that's your mind trying to turn you back to the carnal things and move you away from the spirit, because spiritually you're underdeveloped. Prayer is boring. The only time prayer is exciting is when something in your senses is in trouble. Then you pray hard, because you are more in the business of building up that is sensual than you are praying for the joy of praying, because you don't really enjoy praying to a God you cannot see, when you can get on the phone and talk to somebody you can hear and interact with somebody you can see and get on Twitter. You spend more time on Facebook than you do in prayer with your little phony friends who check like in your box. You enjoy talking to them more than you enjoy talking to God. And it's not that you don't love God, and it's not that you're not a Christian, but the reason you don't enjoy it is because you are suffering from spiritual malnutrition, and your spirituality is not built up, and you only do it out of religious duty, and anything you have to do out of religious duty, you won't do it long because you don't enjoy it. Okay, I mean, this is what he gave me today. Maybe he'll give me something better next Sunday. I want you to go to I think it's Hebrews. I wrote it down because I'm getting old. Go to the book of Hebrews. I want to show you a couple of things. Yeah. Is it Hebrews? Yeah, Hebrews 5:14. Hebrews 5:14. Oh, I'm excited about this. It says, but strong meat, are you there yet? You still looking, say, wait on me. Okay, all right. But strong meat belongeth to them that are of full age. Now, when it says those who are full age, it doesn't mean old people. It means that the strong meat you have to give to those that are spiritually mature. Okay, and it defines it in a minute. Strong meat belonging to them that are of full age. I wish Lord, like strong meat has more revelation in it, and it has more liberty in it. The stronger you are, the less restraint is needed. When the kids are little, you go to bed at 6 o'clock. When you get older, you go to bed at 8 o'clock. When you get older, you go to bed at 11 o'clock. When they get a certain age, you don't know whether they go to bed, you don't even care. See you. You know, you don't call your grown kids and say it's 10 o'clock, it's time for you to go to bed. Because with maturity comes liberty. Not bondage, freedom. Because you have set the pattern when they were children, and then when they get older, you release them from the pattern because maturity brings about liberty. You couldn't give that liberty to a child. You don't give that liberty, young mothers. You don't give that liberty to a 3-year-old to stay up all night because you up all night and you lonely and you need somebody to talk to. Little Willie needs to go to bed. Strong meat belongs to them that are full age, those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. Those who by reason of use, they have used it. So that's good news. You exercise it by using it. And the reason you're not enjoying it is because you don't use it. If you start working out, the muscles you don't use give you the most pain. It can be a little bitty muscle. One time I was working out, the guy had me doing something like this. I mean, just a little bitty weights, little 3-pound little weights, and doing like that. And I said, yeah, I like to die. Because, I mean, you don't walk around doing like that, you know, not normally. So anytime you're using something you don't normally use, it cries out against it. So if you want to develop it, you have to use it. Now, I want to show you why it's important for you to develop this. And just going to church does not ensure it. Because you can go to church and be a spectator and not really be a participator, and you don't get what other people get out of it because you're not really putting into it, and you don't know how to put into it. It's not that you're hateful or rebellious or fighting God. You don't know how to open up to it because, first of all, you are not in touch with yourself. People who are in touch with themselves can make the transition into the Spirit more easily because they are in touch with themselves. If you are not in touch with yourself, it becomes difficult for you to connect spiritually because nobody's feeding you through the avenues that you are accustomed to being fed, and that's why you're bored. So you're just standing up through the praise service. I see you. You'll be standing there saying, Lord, have mercy. Do you know what would happen in this room if this many people really were to worship God? I mean, even for a few minutes, Do you have any idea the power of God that would be released in this place if thousands of people started worshiping God for real in this room? I don't mean just going through the motion. I mean if they really got in touch with themselves and started really blessing God.